When Marisa first met Maisie, she had no idea she was looking at a dog who didn't just bark, but actually talked. On that very first day, it was obvious she didn't stop for a second, like she always had something to say. But this story started long before they ever met, back in the time when nobody paid any attention to Maisie. Maisie spent almost 3 years living in a crate in the backyard, and during all that time, her life barely changed. No one took her on walks, no one worked with her, and no one treated her like a pet. She was just there because they expected one thing from her. They kept her for breeding, hoping she would have puppies, but that never happened. Over time, they lost interest in Maisie, and the way they treated her turned even colder. At some point, her owners decided there was no reason to keep spending money on her. To them, she had become a waste, a dog who'd not lived up to expectations. That was when they decided she had to go. Everything was already heading that way, but at the very last moment, a family friend stepped in, took Maisie, and got her out of there. That family friend brought Maisie to a shelter. And for the first time in her life, she had a real chance at something different. Around that same time, Marisa was going through a very hard season. First, she lost her 13-year-old pit bull she had shared many years with, and then she went through 2 more losses, her father and her mother. All of it left her with a deep sense of emptiness that stayed with her every day. Then one day, a friend tagged Marisa in a post with a picture of Maisie. It was just a simple photo, but Marisa stopped on it and did not keep scrolling. She decided to go to the shelter and meet that dog in person. And the moment she saw Maisie for herself, there was no doubt anymore. Marisa knew she could not leave without her, and she brought her home. When Maisie first came into Marissa's house, she looked confused. After 3 years in a crate, she had suddenly ended up in a place where she could move around freely, with all kinds of unfamiliar sounds and objects around her. She would stop in the middle of the room, freeze, and just look around, like she was trying to figure out what was happening. That same day, Marisa took her out for a walk and threw a ball. Maisie ran after it, and right then she started making those long woo sounds. At first, it caught Marisa off guard, but then Maisie did it again and again without stopping. It did not sound like fear or stress, it felt like joy. Like for the first time, she could finally express what she was feeling. But even then, it was clear her past had not let go of her yet. There was still caution in the way she moved, and it was obvious she would need time before she could fully come out of her shell. Marisa started noticing something she couldn't explain at first. Maisie seemed to sense how she was feeling. On the days when things felt especially heavy for Marisa, Maisie never stayed off to the side. She would come over, press herself against her, and start licking her face, like she knew exactly what needed to be done in that moment. It happened more than once, and it did not feel random. More and more, it became clear that Maisie showed up right beside her at the moments when she truly needed it. Little by little, Marisa started seeing it differently. After everything that had happened in her life, Maisie's arrival no longer felt like just a coincidence. And the more time they spent together, the clearer it became that Maisie was not just getting used to a new home. She was changing Marissa's life, bringing back a sense of warmth that had been missing for a long time. As time went on, something started showing up in Maisie that had never really been there before, a sense of ease. It stood out the most in the way she began interacting with other animals. Marisa had a cat named Mota, and Maisie's introduction to him went surprisingly smoothly. Mota did not keep his distance or act cautious. He accepted Maisie right away, like she had always been part of their family. Maisie acted almost the same way when she met Marissa's horses. The first time she was around them, there was no fear in her and no tension at all. She moved closer like she was meeting old friends. She reached toward them, trying to touch them with her nose, almost like she wanted to kiss them, and she could even stay nearby and fall asleep right there in the stall. Against that whole picture, the change in Maisie stood out even more. The same dog people once saw as unwanted was now tearing through the house in sudden zoomies and filling the air with those long woo sounds, like she always had something to say. Marisa began to understand what was behind those long woo sounds. They were not random at all. That was how Maisie communicated. She makes them when she is happy, when she's excited, or when she just wants to say something. It became her language, and little by little, Marissa learned how to understand it. It was almost like real conversations started happening between them every single day.
What are you doing? Maisie, what are you doing? What?
And the longer they were together, the more often Marissa caught herself thinking that Maisie came into her life at exactly the time she was needed most. The dog who had once been called a waste of money became part of her family. Marissa is sure her parents would have absolutely loved Maisie.